Anybody here ever had your DNA tested?
I have.
Never.
That's how I found. That's
No to Taylor.
Yes.
No to Kelly.
Fudge no.
Yes to Brandon.
That's how I found out I was 3% black.
Was from the DNA testing. Connor?
I have not. I refuse to. My wife did because when she was applying for school, she wanted to see if she was part Indian. Turns out she's not. So all the Indian jokes I was making her the entire time, I had to stop making them. She is part black though, which opened up a whole new realm of comedy.
My sister.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not how that works. First of all, Brandon.
Whoa,
all right, so
okay.
this came out of the New York Times. March 25th, 23andMe filed for bankruptcy. You should delete your data now. Brandon, who did you go through when you had your DNA?
23andMe.
So did you delete your data?
No, I have to get in touch about that. I
Okay.
thought it was only California that's letting you do that.
Well, no. So there's multiple states now. The Attorney General of Florida, James Olthmeyer, came out and also mimicked what the Attorney General of California said. 23andMe has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy and is currently seeking a buyer. California Attorney General Rob Bonta urges users to delete their genetic data due to privacy concerns. Here's the article. What's it say? Yeah, there it is. That's from the New York Post. California Attorney General issues stark warnings to 15 million 23andMe users. Now, customers are advised to delete their data before the sale of the company occurs, as genetic data is sensitive and potentially exploitable. Genetic data is not protected under HIPAA laws, making it vulnerable compared to other health data. Here is a quick CBS News interview that they did with the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta, where he encourages Californians who did use 23andMe to go and delete their data. Please play the clip now.
Earlier today, we spoke with the Attorney General of California, Rob Bonta. This information is the crown jewel of what 23andMe has. Isn't there a financial interest in their keeping this data?
It's the law that it be in the control of the consumer. We recently had some individuals that I'm aware of go online and go through the process, the specific concrete, tangible steps that individuals in California can take to have their data removed. They got a confirmation that the data was removed and deleted, and that is what they were required to do.
But, sir, a skeptic might say, you know, it's almost impossible to delete a text. How do you assure the public that these items, this data, is going to be deleted?
It's the duty of 23andMe and any company that operates in California that Californians have the right to know how their data is being used, to opt out of it being used in certain ways, collected or sold, for example, and then to be deleted.
What do you imagine a worst-case scenario could turn out to be here, sir?
There is a worst-case scenario where the safety of individuals is at risk. Data that is sensitive like this can be used, unfortunately, by those seeking to do harm, and individual safety is actually something that is potentially at risk.
Just for transparency's sake, are you a customer?
I am.
Did you delete it?
I'm about to today. Others may make a different decision, but I'm just making them aware of their rights.
Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
What is the oversight going to be to make sure that that happens, though?
No, you just trust the corporation.
No.
Definitely.
Hey, the government of California.
Trust a corporation that's going out of business. And you got to understand
why would they care?
How much the company was actually worth. At one point, 2020, 23andMe was valued at $6 billion. Guess where they ended up losing all of that money, or a large majority of that money? When they tried to expand the program from DNA collection and testing into drug research and pharma partnerships. 23andMe's the stock price fell. At one point in 2021, the stock was worth $320 a share. Currently, it's worth less than $2 a share. That is a tremendous fall off.
2023 till now?
2021 until now. 2020, they were worth $6 billion. Now they are bankrupt, and the company is now up for auction, or I guess up for purchase through bankruptcy courts and proceedings. This is very interesting, though, because they talk about the potential security implications of 23andMe's database of your DNA going up for sale to another company who could purchase it and have access to that DNA. Back in 2022, this is Representative Jason Crow. He talks about how your DNA being collected could be used as a weapon against you. Please play the clip, Nat.
There are now weapons under development and developed that are designed to target specific people. Right, that's what this is, where you can actually take someone's DNA, take their medical profile, and you can target a biological weapon that will kill that person or take them off the battlefield or make them inoperable. So you can't have a discussion about this without talking about privacy and commercial data and the protection of commercial data, because expectations of privacy have degraded over the last 20 years. Young folks actually have very little expectation of privacy. That's what the polling and the data show. And people will very rapidly spit into a cup and send it into 23andMe and get really interesting data about their background. And guess what? Their DNA is now owned by a private company and can be sold off with very little intellectual property protection or privacy protection. And we don't have legal and regulatory regimes to deal with that. So we have to have an open and public discussion, and this is going to have to be a political discussion about what does the protection of healthcare information, DNA information, and your data look like, because that data is actually going to be procured and collected by our adversaries for the development of these systems.
You know what's silly about this, though, is that, like, how many people spit in a tube for COVID tests? I bet a ton of them did, and that's the same data that you're giving to somebody as the 23andMe.
Not me.
I mean, lucky. For my stupid work, I had to spit in a tube for a while until they eventually said you have to get the vaccine. Then I quit. But yeah, I was spitting in a tube for a while too. So yeah.
Did anybody here get their DNA tested? Well, okay. Did
The
anybody
nose swab.
here?
Aren't you surprised he's the one that got his DNA tested?
I
am shocked.
I am. Well, he also
Brendan-
went to a psychic. Did you know that?
Brendan probably distributes DNA pretty frequently to a variety of meetings around town.
It's so weird you say that. Our booker just
Yeah.
texted me that he was looking to spread his DNA this weekend, and I didn't understand what that meant. Specifically, why he wanted to put it on people's backs. But go ahead, continue, Brandon. So you got your DNA tested and you got swabbed during COVID. Did anybody here get their swab during COVID?
I had to get multiple swabs for various tests.
So there you go, you're in the
But
same
they
boat.
threw it away right away.
No,
Nope.
they
really?
they took them all for testing.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Mine
what
was
they're
the
done with it.
immediate one. Like, when they do
Yeah.
the immediate to let you to go in somewhere, and then they just
But
throw it
you
away.
just trust that those were disposed of in a
That is
way
true.
that can't be tied
Probably
back to you.
a bucket that gets sent somewhere with a bunch of
Yeah,
tests.
think
You don't like
of-
to make it easy on them, though.
Think
I
of
know,
during
but-
the search for Osama bin Laden. Most people don't
I
know
think
this.
about it often. Actually.
Yes.
I do. I really do. I obsess over it. Go ahead.
The CIA rolled out a fake vaccination program where they started giving out free shots under the guise of being a medical organization in areas where they thought bin Laden might be hiding. And what they were doing was, after they injected people, mostly kids, but also adults, they were taking the blood samples left on the needle and looking for genetic markers of people who were related to Osama bin Laden. So they could tell, oh, these are his family members. He might be in this area. So you have no way of knowing what they are doing with your medical samples after you take them.
And you see those red kits at the doctor's office that have the biohazard sign on them. Like, why do you think they put all the needles in there? Where do you think that bucket goes? Probably somewhere creepy.
Yeah, for sure. It's like shocking that big pharma plays a role in this as well, right? When it comes to them taking all the data. And also, I would actually be concerning, like, worst case scenario, who ends up buying the company for all the people that don't actually fight and get their data back. Because, as someone who works in bet data consulting, working with entrepreneurs from all over the world, and I actually worked for Sears corporate office when they filed Chapter 11 and ended up going from a public company to a private company in the way that literally at one point they put 40 of us in a room. Thankfully for me, I was like looking to transition into real estate full time, and they're like, all right, some people have been there like 40 years. Like, you're done, turn in your laptop. And we literally would all in like an assembly line, turn in our laptop and take our severance pay, right? Why am I sharing this? When you have billions of dollars on the line, people do desperate things. Who knows who they're selling it to? Not only do you have billions of dollars, you have people's DNA. I don't know if there's any two things that are more fragile than actual people's, biology and information and data and money. So my concern would be, who buys the company?
Yeah.
And what are their intentions?
Probably a biohacking company or somebody who wants to create something that hurts a certain amount of people so they could create a medicine for it.
Well, if I was Pfizer, that'd
Bill
be
Gates
But if
buys it.
if I'm Pfizer and I have every medicine known to man under my company's umbrella,
Patent, yeah.
and now I have direct access to millions of 15 million Californians alone, and I have access to their DNA, that's a direct marketing tool for you to be able to go, oh, okay, Harry that lives in San Clemente, he's got asthma. So we could definitely take advantage of that. Maybe we'll mail him some free samples of some asthma medication, get him hooked on this. There's a million different ways in which this information can be used against you. Are they going to use it for your benefit, or are they going to use it to your detriment?
Do they
detriment.
ever? But like, don't you dare.
I'd like to think that.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that they're okay.
I'm
They're
sure the
run by
corporations-
evil people. That's the problem. I believe that the pharmaceutical industry started off with good intentions.
The
I do
pathway to
like to
hell is
believe
paved
that.
with good intentions.
You can
Now
you
it's
can
been
hope.
corrupted by evil people that at the end of the day see more about dollar signs and improving the quality of human life.
But don't you dare take the RFK route and suggest that studies might indicate that COVID was genetically targeted to be worse for some people than others. Otherwise, you're a fringe conspiracy theorist. You're producing vaccine hesitancy, and you're the bad guy for not trusting the pharma corporation.
Who did
Shout out to the people who called it
RFK?
BS.
Who did RFK say that did he actually say
Yes,
that?
he did.
And what did he? What groups of people?
He was saying
Sure.
that.
It's
Okay.
RFK.
He
Yeah,
was
you're
saying,
reciting what he
and
said.
this wasn't RFK saying this is just what he thinks. He was saying he read a study that showed pretty compelling evidence that the coronavirus that definitely leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology was meant to be worse when it infected Caucasian and black people and not have nearly as much effect on Chinese people and Ashkenazi Jews. And when he dared to say that last one, people canceled him as an anti-Semite and slandered him with basically everything under the sun, but nobody could debunk the study because they did multiple studies. And remember, way back, these are the same people who were saying, no, it definitely came from a wet market where some dude ate a bat, right? Definitely not the lab.
But if it came from the lab, and it was, correct me if I'm wrong, the National Health Institute was the one funding the lab.
Yes.
Why would they make a disease? Let's hypothetically say they're making the disease. Why would they make a disease that attacks their own people and not the people in the city or country in which it was released?
So that they can make an antivirus?
Well,
And if you think
it
there's
came out of
too many
China.
people,
But you said it didn't target the
No,
Chinese,
I know.
correct?
It spread
that-
out of China, but didn't kill nearly as many people as we were led to believe.
Well, but if you
And
remember,
when you say the National Institute of Health, why would they go for their or like want it to hurt their people? They didn't. Who was running the National Institute of Health? And I'll say no more on these particular subjects here. But we're straying into dangerous territory.
My final point on this story is going to be like, my dad always taught me, what goes on the internet stays on the internet forever. I apply that to everything, my body. Like, I'm not going to go have sex with anybody because that's, your body's a temple and you're giving away energy. You're giving away something that is super personal. I would never do something that would share my DNA with somebody else, because that is such a violation, I think, of your privacy, your person. So just be careful how much of yourself you're giving to a random
well, if they're going to
stranger.
get it, though, they're not going to, okay, if they want your DNA, they're not just going to have to go through 23andMe. I mean, I know that there's HIPAA laws that are supposed to prevent them from going and getting your blood work tested and then that information getting sent or sold to another company. But it's also illegal, or should be, to create a virus in a lab and then leak it that kills.
Sounds like COVID kind of destroyed all of that,
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Laws?
So, like,
Boom.
the rules when it comes to science and health kind of just got thrown out the window with
Yeah.
COVID because, remember, you weren't supposed to be able to get fired for having a medical condition. However, if you don't get this medical procedure, then you're going to lose your job. You're not going to be able to travel. It's so funny to me. I wrote this on Twitter the other day, but the same people that are sitting here today calling Elon Musk and Donald Trump Hitler-esque, authoritarian dictators are the same people during COVID going, if you don't got the vaccine, you can't come into this gym. If you don't got the
true.
vaccine, you can't work. Those same people that dictated medical policy for people they never met before are accusing people in high powers of government of being dictators. Do you not see the irony there?
yeah, of course.
I think
Great
that's why
point.
COVID kind of ruined, not ruined everything, but ruined the public's trust when it comes to science. When you talk about people peer-reviewed and science being trusted, this day and age, nobody gives a shit what scientists say. We don't trust you. Why? Because you lied to us during COVID. The one time that we all put our trust into you, you lied to us, and now you don't get that benefit again. Look, I love my 15-year-old. If I look my 15-year-old in the eye and I go, did you do this? And he lies to me, he loses my trust forever. So the one thing I've always told him is, hey, just be honest with me. If you fucked up, we can figure out how to fix it together. But I cannot help you. I cannot protect you if you lie to me. I need to know the truth. And to this day, I'm sure that he has lied about small stuff that doesn't matter. I'm not advocating that. But on the big stuff, I can look him in the eye and know he's telling me the truth. That can't be said about the scientific community or healthcare industry after what happened over the past 5 years from COVID.
Nope.
Nope.
I think
No.
that's part of the reason why 23andMe is now bankrupt, is because of how they tried to change after
Well, the
COVID.
timing just 2020 worth $6 billion. 2021 stock price $320 a share. 2025 under $2 a share and bankrupt. So you're right. It kind of goes to that.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.